Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Mother and Refuge of the End Times. My name is Debbie Bird Smith, and I'm here with my partner in crime, Jim Fitz, and our very special guest, Zachary King. And we'd like to just begin with a prayer. Jimmy, if you could lead us in a prayer.
Sure will.
Okay.
In Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and the hour of our death. Amen.
Amen. And we do have a very special guest tonight. Welcome, Zachary. We're so pleased to have you.
Thank
Um,
you for having me.
it's wonderful to see you and have you here. Zachary has the most extraordinary story. It was very inspiring to me, and I know that many of you have heard his story, but many of you have not. I've already received lots of comments in the comment section about people that have known or heard of Zachary and his story. And it really is very inspirational. It's very dark in some ways, in some places. I encourage that the people that watch might want to um, determine whether they would want their children to watch this, because it does have some sensitive topic. But I think this is what we need to know and realize is how the evil one works and acts in our world, and captures people in his very seductive way, and how wonderful our Lord and Savior is, our Blessed Mother, who can reach down and pull us out of whatever depth we're in, and give us this grace of redemption. And so, Zach, I'm just going to turn this over to you so that you can tell your story. And I do want you to, first of all, mention your website, because I know that you do have a website that people can go to and find out more information about what you're doing there. And there's even some merchandise there. I've been looking at it, and so I'd like to uh, let our viewers know that that's available to them.
Zachary, just so you know, it looks like your screen has frozen. I don't know if you could still hear us. Oh, it looks
Oh,
like we temporarily lost him. Give us a moment, everyone. We'll get him back.
okay, we'll get them back. Technical
Wow.
difficulties. This is why I've been praying, and I'm going to ask you all to pray because I knew that there was a strong possibility that there was going to be some interference with this
Oh,
broadcast.
we were experiencing it here at home already.
Hmm. All right, so he's back. Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Okay, wonderful. Well, what I had asked was if you could possibly just give our viewers your website so that they would be able to go to that and look at that, and then tell us your story.
sure. It's allsaintsministry.org, and I have merchandise. I've got a book, a CD set that tell you to spiritual warfare, how to shut down an abortion clinic. I've also got a YouTube channel and over 100 videos on that. Most of them are what to do if you have a cursed object or something like that, the difference in deliverance and exorcism. Um, just little instructional videos. We're about to start a podcast, and that'll be probably starting next week. Um,
Is that allsaintsministry.org?
yes,
And where will the podcast be streaming? Is that a YouTube podcast or other
no,
platforms?
all the regular podcast places. So I think we have 5 different platforms.
Nice. Well, I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I can't either, and to hear the
Or
podcast. So, Zachary, go ahead and tell your story. There's so many things that I found so interesting in this, and I'll jump in here and there, but I know that all of our viewers really want to hear from you. So,
How long is the interview?
as long as you need. Normally, we go about an hour, something like that.
Okay. Well, recently I've had 3 interviews that went 3 hours.
Well, I know that the last one I looked at was about an hour and a half. So take the time you need.
Okay. And do you want me to keep it clean?
I want you to tell the story, yeah, and just tell it. Tell it like it is.
yep,
Okay. All right. Well,
Everyone really needs to hear this
yes,
because my feeling about it, Zachary, is that sometimes it's hard for us to imagine the evil that the evil one can come up with, and the depths that he'll go to lead us to hell. And you've experienced so much, and come out the other side, uh, and working for Christ. And I just think there's so much of actually there's so much of your story that um, I identify with. That I know that you were raised a Baptist, and I was raised a Baptist and converted. Um, but yeah, just start with you. I know this began with you as a child.
mhm. Well, there's practically no limits that Satan won't go to convert somebody to be with him. And he doesn't care how young you are. I used to be at my talks and I would ask, what do you think's the youngest? How young do you have to be for Satan not to attack you? Do you think he would attack you at 10 years old? And some people said yes, and some people said no. I said, how about 7? How about 3? How about 1? How about a newborn? And then I had to tell them that 9 months before you're born, Satan starts attacking you.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as he realizes your mom is pregnant, he's telling her through her mom, through her husband, through her boyfriend, through teachers, through her doctor, that she should abort this. So for me, like I said, I grew up Baptist, and at 10, by the time I was 10 years old, I had seen every scary movie that was out. Now it was the TV version, so it wasn't as bad as it could have been, but I was hooked on scary movies. More particular, I was hooked on witchcraft movies, anything to do with magic. And I could see that people that practiced magic could levitate. But do you know who else can levitate? Superman. So what if I could learn to levitate and I could levitate my way to school, right past all of my friends? That would be the coolest thing in the world. And I could do something they couldn't do. So I had this burning desire to figure out, does magic work? Now, I had asked my Baptist preacher and my parents, is magic real? Can I do that? And they both said no. Magic's fake. It's false. Nobody can do magic. It's nothing that anybody can do. It's just in movies or magicians on TV. Now, last year, I had a caregiver that said he would give me $10,000 if I could prove magic was real. And I said, okay, I'm up for the challenge. And he goes, go, do something. And so I brought out a Bible and I said, there's 33 places in that book where God tells you not to do magic, not to do magical things. If it was impossible to lie, thou shalt not lie wouldn't be in the Bible. If it was impossible to kill, thou shalt not kill wouldn't be in there either. So if it was impossible to do magic, there wouldn't be 33 verses that tell you not to. That's proof that magic is real. I'm still waiting for my $10,000. So also at the time that I'm got this burning desire to figure out magic is real or not, I'm doing two things. One is I'm playing Dungeons and Dragons every weekend. There's always a campaign going on. I'm always the wizard or the sorcerer in that. And magic always works. My magic spells always work. But I mean, to make a magic spell work, you need to roll a 20-sided die. And if you get a 15 or higher, your magic spell works. The higher the number, the higher degree of probability that it will work. But my rolling of the die for a magic spell is always 17, 18, 19, 20. Every time. Now, only for my magic spells. If I'm going to jump a chasm or something and I need at least a 17 to clear the chasm, there's a good chance I'm going to die. I'm going to jump the chasm. I'm not going to get a 17. But if I'm doing a magic spell, it's successful every time. But I realize that rolling that dice is not magic. And then I'm also playing a game at school. There was this kid that came up to me in the 5th grade, first day of class, and he told me to meet him in the bathroom on the first break. This is RSV. I've had it for 3 weeks. And hopefully I'll be well this weekend. But in the meantime, I'm doing this every day. So
that's okay. We'll say a prayer.
Thank you. I'm just offering it up. So there's no warning. There's no internet back then.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that tells you not to go meet somebody in the bathroom that tells you to. And he's a kid, just like me. So I meet him in the bathroom. There's 49 other kids in there, boys and girls in the same bathroom. And he tells us we're going to turn out the light, chant a phrase into the mirror, and if we do it right, the spirit of a burn victim will show up. Well, we're all like, yeah, right, whatever. That's not going to happen, but okay. Never heard of this before. So we turn out the light, we chant the phrase, spirit of a burn victim shows up in the mirror, and 49 kids run screaming out of the bathroom. One idiot, and call him that because it was me, stayed in the bathroom thinking, this is the most awesome thing ever. I chanted this phrase. I made that face appear. I don't know who that face is, but obviously it's the spirit of a burn victim because their skin is really dark and shiny and it looks like their face is melted. Sounds like a burn victim to me. But, remember that when you're looking in the mirror, that's not some distant land off like in another country somewhere. It's not even the next room over from you. If you're seeing something in the mirror, it's standing next to you. You're seeing the reflection of it. But I'm not smart enough to figure that out. I also am not realizing, to make a magic spell real, you need intention, repetition, and demonic presence. So intention, we all wanted to see the face. Repetition, we said it 11 times. Demonic presence, he showed up in the mirror. But I didn't know what a demon was. I wasn't sure that was even real. I just know that I made that face appear. And then we had notes sent home because kids got hurt. I mean, like broken leg, broken arm hurt. So notes were sent home, and we were told that if we were caught playing this game at school, we'd be suspended for 3 days. I had to take that note to my dad in the den, who usually just signed the note and gave it back to me. He didn't care what they said. But this particular time, he read it. And my dad was a giant man. I mean, I was small for my age, and my dad was so much taller than me, and really heavy. And, I didn't know what to expect. But in his usual loving tone, he said, "Have you been playing this game?" And being terrified of my dad as I was, I told him the absolute truth. No. So I wouldn't get caught at school and get suspended for 3 days. I started playing the game at home.
The logic. You get suspended for not coming to school.
So when I played it at school, though, I played it once a day. Now that I'm playing it at home, I wake up in the morning, I play the game. I go to the bathroom, I play the game. I brush my teeth, I play the game. I go out and I have breakfast, I come back, brush my teeth again, play the game. Before I go to school, I've played it 10 times. When I get home from school, I've played it another 20 to 30 to 40 to 50 times. Because every time I did it, I got the face showed up. And I'm doing that. Now, I don't know exactly what I'm doing. Now, I've got power of some kind, but I don't know what it is. I don't know how I'm able to do this, but it's working every time.
The
So
first
after
time
a
that
while,
happened, when you saw the face in the mirror, did you realize that it was real, or did you think it was your imagination?
no, it seemed to really be there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it had to be real because all the other 49 kids ran out of the bathroom when they saw it.
That would be a sign.
If
Yeah,
that was
that
my
would be a sign.
imagination, why did they run?
Right, right. Were you frightened or just
No, I was fascinated.
fascinated? Yes. Okay.
Remember that I watch scary movies all the time on TV.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm able to do something that I'm not sure what it is I'm doing, but I'm seeing something that's kind of creepy on some level, but I like creepy stuff.
Amazing, because that's similar to what happened to me when I was on my way into witchcraft. My girlfriend at the time insisted she had this power and she could send someone to me, and I just rolled my eyes and said, "Yeah, right, yeah, right." She's like, "I will do it right now," and within moments, this person or this face appeared in the mirror right next to me, looking at me. Terrified me, but at the same time, I was mesmerized, by it, and I was hooked at that time. And yeah, it looks like someone's just right there looking at you. It doesn't
Right.
look like it's, half transparent. It looks like they're physically there, but yet they're not on your side of the mirror. They're on the other side.
Creepy,
Sorry.
right?
It is, but it had me intrigued, and that was what she
Right.
was trying to do.
So I'm doing this, and I'm thinking though, I don't know what that is exactly, but maybe it's magic.
Mm.
And in the D&D thing, my magic always works, but it's not actual magic. Could I do a magic spell in real life? Now remember that I'm a little nerdy kid. I'm already made fun of almost or picked on almost every day at school. So I'm not going to tell anybody I'm trying this, because if I try it, it doesn't work, then I'll be made fun of for something else. But if I try it and it works, then I'm especially not going to try it. I'm not going to tell anyone, because I'm going to know something that they don't know. I can do something they can't do. So I was trying to figure out what kind of magic spell to do. I get a quiz every Friday. I don't like that, but I don't want to hurt my teacher. I'm made to participate in PE. I can't stand it. but I don't want to hurt my coach either. And I know that I could easily do something where somebody gets a broken leg and starts coming to class. But even if I hurt the coach, they're just going to send a new coach. And the new coach could be worse. So what kind of spell can I do where not really anybody gets hurt, but I benefit? Money. What if I found some cash? Somebody lost some cash, I found it. No biggie. So I did that. Did my spell on a Friday night. Saturday, I went out to play. Found a can of tennis balls with a $5 bill in it. This is 1976. Comic books are 15 to 20 cents. Candy bars are 15 to 20 cents. And penny candy is a penny.
$5 is hitting the jackpot for a 10-year-old.
Right. I mean, I'm looking at 20 or 25 comic books or candy bars or 500 pieces of candy. You know, so I'm like, wow, that was awesome. But this could have been a coincidence. I'm going to try it again. So the next Friday, I did it again. Saturday, I went out to play and I found a $10 bill on the side of the road. Now I've doubled my money. I suppose I could nickel and dime my way up to being a millionaire. Now I'm looking at 1,000 pieces of candy. But it still could have been a coincidence. I'm going to try it again. The next Friday, I did it in my bathroom at home. And halfway into the magic spell, I did the Bloody Mary chant. And when the face appeared, I let it know I was doing a spell for money. I don't know if that's something I'm conjuring up. I don't know where it's coming from. I don't really know what I'm doing. But what if I'm in control of it? And what if I can harness that power somehow? I don't know if I can or not. But let's experiment and see. So the face showed up. I made sure it knew I was doing a spell for money. Stopped that. And the next day I went out to play. Was in this large unpaved parking lot, running around. Something catches my eye, something shiny. And I run off to see what that is. But I get there and there's nothing shiny there. But there's what looks like Monopoly money rolled up tight in rubber bands. So I put that in my pocket and I go about playing. Now, finally, it's the end of the day. I'm home. You know, I've taken my bath. I've gotten ready for bed. Everybody else has gone to bed. I'm in my room. My lights are out. Sheets up over my head. There's a flashlight in my mouth. And I'm unraveling my treasure. And it looked like Monopoly money because I had never seen a $100 bill. And when I unraveled all of them, I had 10 $100 bills. And now I know beyond a reasonable doubt that magic is real, that this works, that my Baptist preacher and my parents were wrong. Anybody think I went and told them that? I did not.
I wouldn't think so.
I kept that little gem to myself because now I have knowledge is power and I have knowledge they don't have. I can do this spell every day. Do you know if I did this spell every day and it worked to this extent, I could buy a Lamborghini Countach in 1 year, less than a year. Or in 3 years, I could be a millionaire.
Wow.
So, you know, I'm thinking this is the coolest trick ever. I mean, this is awesome to me. You know, so I continue to do that. And to put that $1,000 in perspective, if that was now, that would be worth $7,000. Wouldn't it be nice to find $7,000 right now? I'd be happy if I found $1,000. Even less, $10. $10 on a good day. That'd be fantastic. But you know, I don't have such luck. So, but now realizing that magic works and it's real, I am doing magic every day, and I am getting hooked on it. There's nothing better than doing magic, and I can do it anytime, day or night. I can do it sitting in the library at school, and people look at me. They might think I'm talking to myself. I'm just moving my hands around. Maybe my imagination's gone wild, but to me, I'm doing a magic spell. When I was 11 years old, I became the victim of a sexual assault at school at the hands of a female teacher. I went to the bathroom, and when I got in there, I heard a noise. It sounded like somebody was in there. But I looked down under the stalls, and there's no feet. But I keep hearing it sounds like somebody breathing. So I went to each stall door and opened it to see who was there. Nobody was there. Nobody was there. Nobody was there. I finally got down to the handicap stall, and I opened that. And there was a woman sitting on the toilet with her feet up on the toilet seat. And she's wearing clothes from the waist up. The waist up, but not from the waist down. I had brothers. I didn't know what the difference was in a girl and a boy. So I didn't know what it is I'm looking at. I have no idea what this thing is I'm looking at. She invites me into the stall, has me lock the door, brings me over to her, performs a couple of things on me, then has me lay down on the floor, and she strips me from the waist down, and she climbs on top of me. When we're done, she tells me that I enjoyed that, which I couldn't deny, I did, and that if I told anybody, I would go to prison, I'd be expelled, my parents would disown me, and when I got out of prison, I'd have to get a job. I couldn't come back to school. Why would she lie to me? She's a teacher. So, and then when I went back to class, my teacher berated me for taking so long in the bathroom. Then when I went home, I still had to go to the bathroom. Still hadn't been. So I need to go to the bathroom, but I'm scared to go to the bathroom at school because I think she might still be waiting for me. I mean, and I don't know which bathroom is safe. So I walk home, and on my way home, I peed myself. Then I felt so bad, so dirty from it, that I took the hottest bath I'd ever taken, trying to clean my body from what happened. And then it bothered me for weeks after that. I considered for a short while drinking bleach, not to kill myself. I didn't even know if it would kill me, but to clean myself from the inside, you know, and I finally just sucked it up and thought, okay, I can't tell anybody. The only thing that made me feel better was magic. So I dove further into it.
And you know, Zach, the thing that strikes me so much in that is when you're the victim of a sexual assault, particularly a sexual assault as a child, particularly, you feel so powerless. You know, you believe the lies that the teacher told you. You know, you'll go to jail, something bad will happen to you. You feel so powerless that being able to conjure up something like money, being able to, you know, have that power must have felt kind of good.
Yeah, and I could certainly attest to that feeling. I've been in those shoes myself, though I don't really talk too much about it. But I could attest to that, where you have fear, you have shame, you don't know really why it happened or what happened, and you try not to tell anybody.
Or will it happen again? And
Yeah.
there's nothing I can do about it. You say he was afraid to go to the bathroom, you know, in school. But
Right.
anyway, that just struck me that, you know, I know that kind of experience just leaves you feeling powerless. And here you were being able to, sort of cast these spells to get money or what. I'm sure you, I'm sure, that the dream of a Lamborghini was a big
Right.
dream for you.
So fast forward to me being 12, we used to play D&D every weekend, and I played it with a circle of friends. It was usually the same circle. And there was this kid that stopped playing with us, and he also stopped going to school. So we figured he moved away. When I was 12 years old, he moved back to town because he started back in D&D, but he still wasn't at school. And it turned out he was homeschooled. It also turned out he was a satanic recruiter.
Mm.
We didn't know that at the time. And he comes back and he says that he's been playing D&D with a group of people that also believe magic is real. Well, everybody in my D&D circle loosely believed that magic was real. Like, they know it works in the game, but not in real life. I know it works in real life. And he invites me to come back and check these guys out, so I do. My parents were the no police. No matter what I wanted to do, the answer was no. The Moody Blues are coming to town. Can I go see them? No. There's a new movie coming out. Can I go see it? No. I could say anything, and the answer would be no. After a while, just like, Dad, no. In the end, you just look at my dad, no. But over there, it's like, hey, the Moody Blues are coming to town. Yeah, we've already got you a ticket.
Mm.
During the day, we're going to watch this new movie that's out. And then that night, we're going to go see the Moody Blues. At my house, you could have 3 meals a day and a snack if my mom was in a good mood. And all of those things are going to be healthy. So I don't always want the snack. But over there, and also, while I was growing up, my first 18 years of life, I had pizza 3 times with my parents. It was not a staple in our house. But over here, I can have pizza every day if I want it.
Mm.
I can live on potato chips and Snicker bars. My dad, we had a Burger King and a McDonald's in town, and my parents were not big on going. We had McDonald's maybe once or twice. We had Burger King once. But at this place, anytime I wanted it, what do you want to eat today? Burger King. Okay, let's go. It was a constant thing. Anything I wanted was fair game. I started smoking cigarettes, also tried cigars and pipes, tried smoking a bong and a joint, and eating pot brownies and trying acid. My favorite thing to do is acid and MDMA at the same time.
Mm.
It's called candy flipping. Tried all kind of pills, uppers and downers. Tried pill salad, where you don't know what it is, you're just going to try it. And you're going to take sometimes 2 pills at the same time, see what that does.
Eek.
Sometimes it's not good.
Yeah, it doesn't sound good.
But my dad had told me that drugs will kill you. None of you OD'd on them. Taking them one time, smoking 1 joint, you could just drop dead. Trying acid will kill you. Drinking a beer could kill you. And every day I was doing something that my dad said could kill me, but it didn't. Even if I took too much of something and ended up falling asleep, I woke up.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm proving my dad wrong. At my house, we could watch a G-rated movie, or a PG rated movie if it had been vetted by my dad first. But over there, I could watch an R rated movie, an X rated movie, triple X rated movie, or a triple X rated movie that had kids in it my age. I could also look at magazines like that. And they told me that what happened to me when I was 11 was horrible. It shouldn't have happened to anybody. But now I can get my power back. Now I can sleep with anybody I want. Nobody can tell me no. And if I don't want to sleep with somebody, I can tell them no. I can also be in movies and they'll make me famous. So I didn't realize that I was being re-victimized every time. But I was in kiddie porn for 4.5 years, thinking the whole time I'm the luckiest kid in the world. It never occurred to me that adult pedophiles were watching these things. Because when I saw them, it was a bunch of kids in a room watching. It was a bunch of kids passing the magazines around. It didn't occur to me that adults were going to be watching this stuff. So I'm in that.
To an adolescent boy, it must have just seemed like this is what adolescent boys. It's not that strange.
Well, when I was in school, I was 12 in 1978. All the boys in the 7th grade bragged after the weekend about all the sex they had on the weekends. But they were all lying and making up stories. Like some of them would tell you stories about what they did. But if you're actually having sex, you know that what they're saying is wrong. Like you couldn't be doing that. And, and these kids were like, they're not in my satanic coven. Where are they finding a girl willing to sleep with them being 12 years old? We had kids. We had a kid that was, when I was 10, he was also 10, and he claimed that he was having sex with his babysitter. And his babysitter was 16. Now, looking at the way things are in today's society, that's possible. But then we didn't even know what sex was. He's the only one on the playground that knows what he's talking about. None of us were even interested in what he said. But by the time I was 12, I realized that he was lying. He's just making stuff up. And I guess he had gotten a hold of his dad's videos and had watched those, so he knew what to say, but he still didn't know exactly what he was saying. So, but I'm enjoying myself quite a bit with everything I'm doing. So, I'm drinking booze almost every day. My mother would give me a large cup of OJ to take to school, so I could drink it on the way, throw the cup away when I get on school property. Except on the way to school, I would stop at a friend's house and pour vodka in it. So I'm drinking a screwdriver on the way to school. I'm 12 years old, so no one's thinking to check it for vodka. I'm trying, all these things are new and different to me. I'm having a great time. I'm appearing in porn. People are writing in to ask to see Tommy. My name was Tommy in the videos. And, they wanted to see Tommy perform with whatever girl was on screen. But they had specific fantasies they wanted played out. And I'm thrilled that people all around the world want to see me. Because we'd get a letter and they would read where it was from. Like we got a letter requesting stuff from New Zealand or from Japan. It was like, whoa, somebody in Japan saw me perform That's really cool. But again, I'm thinking it's kids doing this. It's not occurring to me that these are adults. Then this older kid ran up to me one day and he said, "You know you're in a satanic coven, right?" And he took off running. And I just laughed it off. But after a few weeks, that kind of bothered me. I mean, in the Baptist church, we were taught that Jesus defeated the devil on the cross 2,000 years ago, and he's no threat now. And that the devil is afraid of the Baptist church. Well, I'm Baptist. If the devil's afraid of the Baptist church, then he's afraid of me. And he's not a threat anymore. My parents and God are the no police. You know, the entire Bible is a book of what you can't do. My parents are always, no, you can't do this, you can't do that. God is thou shalt not, thou shalt not, thou shalt not. But Satan lets me do everything. Why is he the bad guy? Satan seems pretty cool if he is real. So I go to this coven member that I know, an adult, and I said, "I got something for you. You're going to laugh. I heard this was a satanic coven. Crazy, right?" And he said, "It is." And my heart sunk into my stomach. And I said, "Am I a member?" "No. Would you like to be?" You know, and during my talks, I have people saying, "Didn't you know right from wrong?" Well, yeah, I knew right from wrong, but I knew that I'm getting drunk, I'm getting high, and I'm getting laid. You know, I couldn't do that with God. Couldn't do that if I told my parents where I was. I'm having a great time. Why wouldn't I want to do these things? I'm 12 years old. You know, and I'm thinking at this time, like, you know, I'm addicted to porn. I'm addicted to sex. I'm addicted to masturbation. To buy porn, you got to be 18 years old. I'm 12. I'm smoking cigarettes, cigars, pipes anytime I want to. Got to be 19 to buy that. I'm still 12. I'm getting drunk at least on the weekend, sometimes during the week, but I can drink anything I want, anytime I want. You got to be 21 to buy booze. I'm still 12. I'm taking illegal drugs practically 7 days a week. And I don't know where to get them except for here. And I'm having sex sometimes every day, but definitely on the weekends. And I'm in video shoots, vids, loops, stills. They're in magazines. People around the world are watching me. All that's going to come to a halt if I quit.
Zach, when you were doing this, where were your parents? What were they? Were you able
My,
to really hide this behavior from them, or?
my parents owned 2 companies,
Mm-hmm.
and they were always at work.
Mm,
It was rare that they had employees. They usually ran the companies themselves.
mm. So you were pretty much on your own.
Yeah.
You had the TV as a babysitter.
You know, and back then, on the one hand, the neighborhood was safe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the 70s. Your parents almost always kind of know where you are. One of their friends is a good person. You know, some of their friends are good people. So they'll keep their eye out for me. You know, I mean, chances are I'm in a house somewhere doing something I shouldn't do. But if I'm out in public, I'm a nice kid.
Mm-hmm.
I'm acting the way I should. I make good grades in school. I still go to church. And they told me to keep up appearances, keep making good grades, keep studying your Bible and, keep going to church every Sunday. Don't let your parents know what you're doing.
At this time, you were more into the drugs and sex and everything. Were you still learning about magic at this point, or did the idea
Yes.
of magic wane?
No, that never waned. When it waned was in January 2008. It disappeared. But up until then, I was doing magic every day. Magic was the greatest thing in the world, especially since I proved it worked.
Were they teaching you it?
Yes. Everybody that practices magic has what's called the Book of Shadows. And it's, there might be an official way to do a magic spell, but you have your own version of that magic spell. So there might be a book that has love spells in it, but you found that some things in that book don't work. And some things work really well. So you've written your own version of the love spell. So everybody shared with me their Book of Shadows and let me incorporate what I liked from it into my own Book of Shadows. And had my parents ever found that, because my mom did find it, and she asked what this was, and I said poetry. And she goes, oh, and she handed it back to me. Never looked at it again.
Wow. Did you ever successfully manage to levitate like your childhood dreams were?
Yes, but not as a child. In my next coven, when I got to be the High Wizard, I could levitate.
That's frightening.
Yeah, you ought to try it sometime. Well, don't really do it. If you become a saint, you can do it. But it's be the Holy Spirit lifting you up.
Mm-hmm.
As a Satanist and as a High Wizard, I levitated about 100 feet in the air. And I was instantly terrified. I know that it's a demon that has me lifted up. And I realized that they could drop me at any time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started trying to go down, but a little bit at a time, so the demon wouldn't realize that I was scared. Because I thought if he knew I was scared, then he might drop me.
Mm.
And so I stayed up there longer than I really wanted to. So I said, yes, I'd like to be a member. And I said, what do I have to do? And he said, there's 13 steps involved in being a Satanist. And you've done almost everything already. What I had left to do, I had to slice my left thumb because it's closest to the heart, and bleed onto a document. It's a 5-page document, and I have to sign it in my blood in 3 places. The blood of Jesus washes away all sin, but not mine. Jesus died for everyone, but not me. And on the final page of the 5-page document, I agreed to sell my soul to the devil. Now, usually at this part of my talk, I ask, how many people believe you can sell your soul to the devil? And we sometimes have more than half the room raises their hands. And then I usually have an assistant sitting next to me. I ask them what kind of car they drive. They tell me. And then I ask everybody in the room, how many of you can legally sell me this person's car? And no hands go up. And I said, why not? Because it doesn't belong to us. I said, that is correct. That's why you can't sell your soul. You don't own it. God died for you. Jesus paid the ultimate price for your soul. You don't own it. You can't loan it. You can't lease it. And you certainly cannot sell it. You may have heard Satan is a liar. I am here to confirm. If Satan says good morning, get a second opinion. Oh, it's a tough room.
Mm.
So I go into this room. It's a farmhouse owned by a coven member. You've got the entire coven is there. I'm baptized. I'm wearing a white robe, signifying I'm losing my innocence. I'm baptized in a demon's head baptismal, full submersion, human blood, pig's blood, and human urine. I go into another room and take a shower. And I come out with a black robe with a cowl raised, signifying I've been baptized into a world of darkness. I sit in a chair and I'm handed a wheel with a crucifix in it. And then they read the document that I signed the night before. I show them my thumb so they can see it's my blood on the document. I spin the crucifix upside down, signifying human sacrifice. I put my hand on the arms of the crucifix and break them downward, denouncing Christ. And what I'm left with looks like a peace sign. Then they say they're going to take the document and intertwine it with this. And one day, when I die, this will be locked in a vault and my soul is tied to it. So the reality, we have a party then celebrating that I'm now a Satanist. But the reality is you're celebrating that one day you're going to die and go to hell. So I continued practicing magic. The day that I came in, they had me exchange my robe because I'm practicing all the magic and more that I can stand. I've learned everybody's spell books. And the robe that I wanted was the red robe with the black inverted pentagram. When I first came in, I had the black robe with a red inverted pentagram. The red robe is the official magic practitioner, and your position is called a mage. And I wanted to be the mage. And there's multiple mages, and anybody in the coven can practice magic. But if you're the mage, when someone comes in and hires your coven to do magic, the mage is who does it. So I'm doing that. Now that happened when I was 13. When I was 14, somebody came to me and said that I was going to be participating in a sex orgy with all the males 12 to 15 years old. And a female member over the age of 18. And she's what's called a breeder. She gets pregnant time after time after time just so she can have abortions. So that eventually when her body gives out and she can't have them anymore, she gets a higher position in the covenant. And I said, cool. And I went home to look up the word abortion because I didn't know what it meant. I know that at one time my parents whispered it, so I thought it was a dirty word. And my dictionary was so old, it wasn't in there. So I went to the library with 2 books on abortion. Both books were about 2 inches thick. I went through school on Cliff Notes. I am not reading 2 inches to find out what abortion is. So I went back to my coven and I said, hey, I hear that I've got to do an abortion. I don't know what that means. Because you're killing a baby. I was like, is that legal? Oh, yeah. In the womb legal, out of the womb murder. So they had me practice for almost 9 months on an apple, an orange, and a ball of Play-Doh with a scalpel. Now, they also told me that it's not a real baby, it's just a lump of cells. There's nothing there. I won't be able to see anything. But remember, though, it's also a late-term abortion. I don't know what that means, but I've been told it's just a lump of cells. So if we're ready to do the abortion, we have about 50 women nude on the floor, kneeling, chanting our bodies ourselves. We have a bunch of men in another part of the room that are chanting and praying to Satan to keep police and Christians away from us. We have 13 high priests and priestesses surrounding the woman on the birthing table. And we have a Baphomet statue above the woman's head. I'm standing there dressed as the mage and with gloves on and a mask, and the abortion doctor and nurse are there. And they basically deliver the baby breech. The baby's head is still inside the woman. How much detail do you want in a late-term abortion?
Well, I can't see children listening to this, so I personally think it's better for us to know the truth,
Okay.
no matter how bad.
So
That's my
they put an incision in the back of the baby's neck up near the skull. Then they took a pair of scissors and jammed it up in there and opened them up. Then they took a tube and stuck it into the baby's skull. And in the tube is a vacuum, and it sucks the baby's brains out, and then the skull collapses in on itself. Then the doctor takes these little like tongs with teeth, and he rips the baby parts apart and throws them out to the women on the floor, chanting, who all look possessed at this time. And those women devour it. They cannibalize it. My job as the mage was to get blood on my hands, and I was able to do that. There's lots of blood there. And then after the women were done, then an orgy ensued. And that was my first one of those. And at the end of that, I really felt like I was watching it third person. Like I'm standing, I almost feel like I'm watching it on a TV screen and I'm not really there. I also feel like I've got no blood left in my system. It's all adrenaline. And I feel 10 foot tall and bulletproof. I felt incredible. And then, fast forward a few years, I was getting ready to graduate from high school. I was going to be going off to college. And I thought, how am I going to find another satanic coven? And I grew up in a really small town, and we had 2 satanic covens there, and both were pretty big. But this is before the internet. There's no chat boards, no message boards, no AOL. There's no way to find a satanic coven except in adult bookstores. They sometimes advertised in swingers magazines. But really, do you want to go into an adult bookstore and look at a swingers magazine? Buy one? But you don't know who's going to walk in there. They might know you. Also, you can imagine what happens in the parking lot there. And you don't want to see that either. So you'll be traumatized when you leave. Just to join a satanic coven. So I'm not quite sure how to find one. Because like I said, they're not going to advertise it in the town square. Well, I found it because they advertised it in the town square. Every Wednesday, the student union is open. When the student union is open, it has the Republican and the Democrat student union, the Catholic and the Baptist student union, the Wiccan and the Satanist student union. So I joined these Satanists and see what they're all about. Turns out that they're a bunch of kids away from home for the first time with no adult supervision. And they think that Satan is all about taking drugs, getting drunk, and getting laid. I've been doing that since I was 12. Satanic coven for that. And these guys would make up magic spells on the spot. Like this guy says, I'm going to practice magic. I'm going to pop this beer open, take a drink, circle it above my head 3 times, slam it, and throw it across the room. And if it goes in that trash can, I'm going to get a new pickup truck. It's like, that's not a magic spell. You know, they're like making this stuff up as they go. And then our meetings would be on Saturday. Guess what they did on Sunday?
Church.
Yeah, church,
Go to church.
Christian church. Not to break it up. They went there because they had to get sanctified for everything they did the previous week. And this satanic coven was just like a clubhouse. So I can't stand it. I went to one meeting. I was like, no, this isn't it. I had read a book when I was at school that talked about Bohemian Grove. So I don't know if it's real or not, but it sounded like it was. And the Illuminati. And that, I mean, it was so detailed. I wanted to know, are these guys real? Is this legitimate? And that there was a satanic coven that was out to rule the world. Well, what little nerdy kid doesn't want to rule the world? So I contact my first coven. You know, and I told them about this coven. This isn't what I'm looking for. And this is what I read in the book. Where can I find that coven? And they told me that that coven is Satan's World Church or World Church of Satan. 2 different names, same coven. Call this number and see where that takes you. So I thanked them and hung up. Same day, I called that coven, left a message. They called me back. And they told me about this big building where I need to go, and that I'll probably have to park between 1 and 3 miles away and then walk in. Bring an ID, because I'll have to show that at the door to get in. But I don't have to bring any money. Nothing there costs money. All right. So I drive there first, and I see this giant building, huge warehouse, and it is bumping. And there's a line of people to get in. So I drive away looking for a place to park. And I had to drive about a mile, maybe a little further. And I parked my car and walked back. And when I get there, by then there's no line. And I showed my ID at the door. They checked it off. They welcomed me. Told me to come in and find my sin. So I walked inside. Now inside there's 3 different types of food, and it's in different parts of the room. There's a section that has alcohol, but there's another section that has water and soda, tea. There's a part that has drugs. Some drugs are in a needle and a syringe. Some of them is like marijuana. Some of them are pills. And then there's a group of people in the corner having sex. Like a lot of them having sex. Now here's something I've discovered though. I've discovered that people that are willing to have sex in public, are willing to get naked in public, are people that you do not want to see naked. If you go to like a nudist camp or a nudist beach, the people that are willing to go are people you don't want to see naked. It's like, whoa, stay at home. How come the sexy people don't come here? So again, it was about 50 people having sex. There was about 10,000 people in the room.
Wow.
Wow.
50 people are having sex, and it's 50 people and you don't want to see naked, yet there they are in all their glory. There's also a section in the middle that has couches and recliners, and people just sitting there casually talking in the midst of all the chaos. Now, let's go back to me being 13 years old. I was at a sleepover, and I got up one night at like 3 in the morning to go to the bathroom. And as I was walking through the house, I saw this guy wearing a tuxedo and a top hat, had a wand, and corpse paint on his face. He looked like a member of KISS wearing a tuxedo. I'm like, this is the coolest look ever. And he winks at me and keeps going. So the next day when I got up, I asked him who that was. And they told me there was nobody here last night. You dreamt that. All right. So now my coven is lying to me. So, we'll see, I guess. One day I'll find out who that is. So one day happened when I was 18 and I'm at this party and I see a similar look, not the same guy, but the same look walks past me. And I grabbed this guy and I was like, who is that? What is that? How can I do that? And he says, well, who ran your coven? Because we had a really big coven, 120 to 150 members. And we had 13 high priests and priestesses. He goes, okay. He goes, well, we have 1.1 million members worldwide. And we're run by a CEO and a board of directors. And that guy is the High Wizard. The High Wizard does the official magic of the coven. How can I do that? I've heard that you need to get the devil's attention. Beyond that, I don't know. So he didn't know how to get the devil's attention, but I did. I know that abortion gets the devil's attention. I know that if you're doing a spell, I mean, you can do an X and not do an abortion if you want to, but you might have it come true and you might not. But if you want it to come true, do an abortion with it. And then it's almost guaranteed it'll work. Now, it's not going to work to the extent that you wanted it. I mean, you might ask for $1 million and you get 10,000. You just keep doing it. Just do it again, but keep doing it with an abortion. Because it'll work practically every time. You're just not going to get exactly what you asked for. But if you do it enough times, you'll get the original amount. And you'll just have to add it up over time. So I clicked with the group that was doing abortions. I started hanging out with them and tried to do as many of them as I could, or at least be with them when they were doing it. So that whoever's doing the abortion, like, I'm at least there, so that the devil can see that I'm participating in the abortion. Then I got this, before turning 21, I got this notice in the mail that I'm being called before the CEO and board of directors. And sometimes when that happens, people are never seen or heard from again. So I thought, I'm going to go buy a handgun and a lot of ammo, just in case. Better safe than sorry. So I did that. I had to wait 2 weeks for that. And then I got my stuff and I went to the meeting. They ushered me in this room, put me in a plush leather chair. And I'm looking at the wall. Far wall has a big black curtain across it and a big rope hanging from it. And the CEO told me that I had been picked to be the next High Wizard. And I asked how I was chosen, and he ignored the question. And he handed me a workbook or a handbook, and it was called the High Wizard Handbook. And I opened that up, and on the first page it said, no one can tell you what to do. I thought, that's the job for me.
Hmm.
I can do anything I want without repercussions. Yes. Sign me up.
Free will, run riot.
What's that?
I said, free will, run riot.
Yes.
Never
So,
heard
so then they pull the rope and the curtain moves, and I have 9 costumes on the wall. Now, I don't have to choose any of those, but those are ideas of things I can do. They also showed me a series of 24-inch by 24-inch photos of High Wizard face paint that I could either do or have somebody, I can do it myself. I had a makeup artist that traveled with me, and I had a handler named Rich. Rich did all my sinning for me. He set me up for my sins. So if I wanted to hire a prostitute or get a particular drug or get booze, which is legal, but whatever it was I wanted, he's the one that would go out and get it for me. And this became my life. And I found out that Bohemian Grove was real. I got to go to it my first month as the High Wizard. Most people only know of it being open once a year in July for cremation of care, but it's actually open 4 times a year: February, May, July, and October. Or if you're a billionaire and you belong to the Bohemian Club, you can go anytime you want, but you have to take your own wait staff. Found out the Illuminati was real. I worked for them for 12 years. I made warehouse deals, which is how you make a rock star. The people that are in the band or a single artist will be told by their publicist, their agent, their director, producer, friend, somebody will tell them about the warehouse deal. And these will be in Hollywood or Los Angeles. So I go to these, I have an entourage with me, and my entourage keeps track of who I talk to. If you decide you don't want to participate in what I'm talking about, then you can't reapply for 6 months. And if you do, then you're banned. So some people will never be famous. I ask them as I walk through, who wants to be famous? Everybody puts their hand up in the air. So then I ask, what are you willing to do to be famous? And this is when people draw the line in the sand and say, well, I would do anything, but nothing with kids or animals. I just keep going. That's not who Satan wants. Satan wants the person that's willing to jump in the mud and be drugged through it. If you tell me that you will do absolutely anything, and I say, give me an example of anything. I had a guy tell me, now this guy, keep in mind, could not sing or dance, couldn't write a song, couldn't write a poem, no skills. We had a Dr. Seuss book in the building, and I handed him that. I said, read that to me. And he started reading it to me. And just before it rhymed, he closed the book and handed it back to me. He said, I don't get it. So I asked him, tell me what anything means to you. And he says, well, if you put me in a room and there was a little girl and a horse, I would have sex with at least one of them. If I thought that's what it took, I would do both of them. I pulled out a business card and I handed it to him. I said, this is called a tier 2 card. I'm tier 1. This is tier 2. You call the number on this card, go meet them and do what they say. Now they're going to either video you or take photos, but you do what they say and I'll see you in 3 to 6 months on MTV. And he did that. And within 6 months, I saw him on MTV singing and dancing in one of the most popular boy bands of the 90s. So, and I made about 1,200 rock stars. If you were a rock star between 87 and 99, and you weren't already famous, I made you a rock star. You got famous through me. I helped split 120 churches. Now, Satan doesn't want them destroyed. He doesn't want them broken apart. He just wants to split. I equate being the high wizard to working in a candy store. Now, not one in the mall, not a tiny one like that, but like a freestanding building that's maybe 2 stories high and has tens of thousands of pieces of candy. And those pieces of candy represent all the sins there are in the world. So I'm thinking, how long is it going to get me to try every piece of candy? Well, at least the ones I want. And not the licorice, because nobody wants that, but everything else. How long will it get before I can do all that? And after 6 months, I've tried everything I wanted to try. And after a year, I've done the ones I said I would never do. I mean, there are some sins that are so disgusting. You know you're never going to do them. But after a year, you do them. After 3 years, you wonder why your boss can't make any new sins. Why can't he create? And then this new candy bar comes out, and you're all excited because the new candy bar is out, and you yank it down off the wall, rip open the wrapper, and it's the same old candy, just a new wrapper. This new drug comes out, crack cocaine. You're excited. You're going to be the first on your block to smoke crack cocaine. And you do. And right after you finish, you realize, wait a minute, this was cocaine. Nothing has changed. It's still cocaine. After 5 years, this job sucks. I just want to see something different. I just want there to be a new sin on the horizon, a new candy, a new type of chocolate, a new jelly bean, a new anything, a small sin, big sin. I don't care. But there's nothing new. And after 7 years, when I first started, I got to travel. I got to party with rock stars. I got to party with actors. I got to sin all I wanted. I got to get drunk all the time. I got to take drugs. I got to have sex. I got to party with and meet millionaires and billionaires. I got to find out that Bohemian Grove was real. The Illuminati was real. The Bilderbergs was a real place. But after 7 years, I have to travel. I have to go to Bohemian Grove. I have to work with the Illuminati. I have to go to Bohemian and meet with all the people there. I have to do the cremation of care. I have to do magic spells for everybody. I'm still addicted to magic. But I'm tired of doing them for other people. And all I want to do is get out. I'm actually thinking wouldn't it have been nice if I'd have never said yes to this job? Because now the only way to get out is I have to either commit suicide, get murdered, or die of natural causes. And any version of that, I end up in hell. Now I believe in hell. I don't want to go. So I stayed doing this for 12 years. I'm burnt out. I can't stand this anymore. I just want this to be over. So I plot my escape. They watch all my money carefully. And they watch the official coven money, which I have access to, but I never touch that. And then they also watch my personal bank account. So I can't just start cashing my checks and get ready to run. I have to like pilfer the money out. Like go to the gas station and buy something and take an extra $10 out. Buy groceries and take an extra 20. So eventually I had enough money. I did this for 8 months. Then I made an appointment with a Satanic doctor and I started heading his way. My appointment was at 5 p.m. So I headed that way. But instead of getting off on that exit, I kept going and I got off on another exit. And I drove till my car ran out of gas. And I brought all my credit cards with me, but I chopped them up along the way. And then I hitchhiked into town, sold my car for scrap, got a Greyhound bus ticket to go into Canada. Because in my mind, I did almost 2 jobs in Canada. So there wasn't very many Satanists in Canada. And if you look at Canada now, it's like Satan is running Canada. Well, back then, it didn't seem that way. So, but I got rejected at the border. And they told me that they would take me anywhere Greyhound goes. So I opened up the United States Atlas, closed my eyes, and put my finger down. It landed on Tulsa, Oklahoma. So I went there. I lived there for 3 years, 1 year off the grid and 2 years on. I bought a car and I tried to drive into Canada. And again, I got rejected at the border. So I was heading back to Tulsa, feeling rejected. And a friend called me and told me that there's a border crossing somewhat near Burlington, Vermont, and there's no border guard there. So I decided to head that way. I'm almost there. I'm like 2 hours away, and I am so sleepy, I can't keep my eyes open. I've only been driving for like 6 hours. So I pull over at a rest stop, I take a nap. Except when I wake up, it's the next day. I slept the entire afternoon and the entire night. No problem. I'm just 2 hours away. So I start heading there again. When I crossed the border, I got pulled over by a border guard. And he searches my car inside and out, top to bottom. And he's telling me his life story. And it ends with, he's been trying to get this job for 3 years. And today is his very first day on the job.
Oh, gosh.
God has got a sense of humor.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
If I would have driven here yesterday, I'd be safely in Canada right now. But now I'm rejected. So I'm worth $18 and have half a tank of gas. So I drove to Burlington, Vermont. I heard it was impossible to get a job there. And I got a job my first day in town, a place called Nectar's. It's a restaurant, a bar, and a venue. And I got my first job was a dishwasher. Then I got a job as a doorman. And then I was head of security. And then I got a job at another bar. There was a restaurant during the day, nightclub at night. So I got hired as the head of security there. And then the GM, the nighttime GM. And then I got involved in retail, and I was a manager in training at Finish Line, and then the GM at Sunglass Hut, and then the GM at Piercing Pagoda. I'm still doing magic. I don't belong to a coven. You know, I don't want, so many covens are connected. I don't want to be caught, but I'm still addicted to magic. I can't stop. Now, this is January of '08. I did a magic spell the night before. The next day, I go into work. This woman comes up and she wants to buy a pair of gold hoop earrings. And I present her with what I think is the perfect pair. And we're just about to close the deal. And she says, you know, actually, I'm shopping with my daughter. And when I'm done, I'll come back and buy them. Now, I know women speak. I know that what she's really saying is, I'm going to go find it cheaper someplace else. But she had an honest face. I knew she was coming back. And sure enough, 3 hours later, she comes back. We do the transaction. And when it's over, I said, if you call the 800 number on this receipt and take a survey, you might win $1,000. And she's like, that's great. I've got something for you too. And she reaches in her purse. And I thought, oh no, she's going to pull out a Jack Chick pamphlet, tell me that I'm sinning, and drop to my knees and beg for forgiveness. All stuff I can't do because I sold my soul to the devil when I was 13. But instead, she pulls out this really cheap gold-colored piece of tin. And then she says the weirdest thing I've ever heard. Now, remember that I partied with rock stars. You give somebody that can write a song or a poem unlimited alcohol and drugs, and they will say some strange stuff. The example I give in my talks is that, you know, a lot of times the first song that an artist comes out with, his first release, climbs higher than anything else. It goes to #1 and it'll stay there for a minute. And he never does any better than that. But everybody has high expectations and high hopes because of what that did. So I think it was the #1 song of '99 was Bow It to Bob by Kid Rock. And the chorus of that song was Bow It to Bob, da dang, diggy, diggy, up jump the boogie. And it's like, that's the best you got? That's the best you could do? You lived for 24 years prior to putting that out so that that's what you could put out? Apparently that song was better than all the other songs that year because it made the #1 song and video of the year. What she said was stranger than that. She said, the Blessed Mother is calling you into her heart. And I thought, Blessed Mother, Isis, Gaia? And she says, very powerful. Protestants don't bless anything. So this woman represents some female deity cult. I'm not interested. I came from 2 big cults. Not interested in hers. And she just keeps right on talking. And I tune her out. I go to my happy place. And I'm thinking, how do they all find me? There must be a sign above my head that only crazy people can see. And it says, crazy, come here. Has an arrow pointing down to me. I'm tuning her out. And after a while, I notice she's still talking to me. She's still standing there. You know, I have her money. She has my gold. This was win-win for both of us. Why is she still going? So I tune her in to see what she's talking about. And she says again, it's very powerful. No, she's challenging me. She's thinking he's not going to be able to feel this and say anything about it. She's thinking I'm going to be just some dumb rude that she can take advantage of. I was the high wizard. I could feel of anything and tell you, your friend put a death spell on that. Your friend put a protection spell on that. Your friend bought this at Goodwill and made up a story about it. There's nothing on it, nothing attached. So I know that whatever it is that's on this thing, I'm going to be able to touch it and know that there's nothing there. And then I'm going to toss it on my floor or slam it on my counter and tell her it's worthless. There's no power to this, no mystique to this. This can't do anything to me. This can't touch me. And if she gets offended and wants her money back, that's fine. She's challenging me. She's upsetting me. I'm willing to upset her back. You want to call my boss? He's a regional vice president. You want to tell him? Well, do that, because I make my days, my weeks, my months, my quarter, and my year. My boss will never believe I was rude to somebody. He's going to say that, oh, she just didn't like your tie. You had bad breath that day. It wasn't because you were rude. He's never going to believe that. So I stick my hand out, and she's all giddy and happy because I'm willing to take it. And of course I'm willing to take it. I'm going to tell her it's worthless. She drops it in my hand, and I clench my fist around it, all ready to tell her these things. Except when I clench my fist around it, my store and my mall completely disappear. And I'm standing in a darkened void. And this woman tells me about the magic spell I did last night. And that's of the devil. And she tells me about, I've split over 100 churches, and that's of the devil. And I've committed over 100 abortions, and that's of the devil. She says about 8 or 9 other sins and ends everything with, and that's of the devil. Now, I am terrified. I don't know what to do. Well, let's go back to, I was the high wizard. There's between 2 and 5 in the world, but that number could be as low as 1 or as high as 10. I could have been the only one high wizard out of 7 billion people. That's a power trip and a half. And I did not have the magical ability to hand somebody a worthless gold-colored piece of tin, transport both of us to a darkened void, and know all their sins. Her magic is stronger than mine. I wanted to attack her, but she'll kill me. She'll destroy me. I wanted to let go of the metal. Well, what happens if I just fall through this darkened void and don't find my way back to the mall? If I can't get out of this? What happens if my magic is worthless here? I don't know what to do. And she says again, the Blessed Mother is calling you into her army. And like a grace from the Holy Spirit, I instantly knew that was the Mother of God, which is a startling revelation for a former Baptist to say.
Hmm.
And when I realized that it was the Mother of God, Mary appeared. She is the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. And she smiled at me. And it was a smile I knew I did not deserve. I was acutely aware of my 146 assisted abortions. She took me by the hands, and she turned me around. Divine Mercy Jesus was standing behind me. I didn't know what Divine Mercy was. Just knew I had these rays of light shooting above me and under me and around me and through me. And in that instant, I knew I did not sell my soul to the devil when I was 13. I knew that Jesus Christ was my Lord and Savior. I knew that all my magic, my occult, my New Age, and my Satanism was false. And I knew everything Catholic was truth. The Blessed Mother told me that my job was to help her end abortion. And I opened my hands. I was back in my store, back in my mall. This woman, Marianne Wickman, is still talking to me. And she tells me that she's Father Joseph Whalen's personal assistant in the St. Raphael Healing Oil Ministry. That he's the busiest priest she knows. He doesn't even have time to talk to her, and she's the personal assistant. And while she's talking to me, her phone rings. She looks at it. She goes, "Oh, this is Father Joe. I've got to take it." Yeah, you just described all that. Go ahead. So she gets on the phone. At this time, Father Joe was starting to go deaf. So he talked like everybody was going deaf. So I heard everything he said. "Can you hand the phone to the young man you're talking to?" She's like, "Certainly, Father Joe." She hands me the phone. I'm shaking like Ozzy Osbourne. I'm like, "Hello? Welcome to the faith." Hand the phone back to Marianne. I hand the phone back. He hangs up on her. Her daughter comes up. She says, "Go out to the truck and bring this man one of each of everything." So her daughter runs out. We get 2 more phone calls. It was like that one. Then her daughter shows back up, has a paper grocery bag filled with pamphlets. Why do Catholics do this or believe that? A Catholic Bible, and about 125 Lighthouse Catholic media discs. And then when I went home that day, I've been married to my wife for about 3 months. And when I got home, she was doing the dishes. I opened the door and I was like, "Hey, honey, guess what? I'm Catholic now." My wife was a disfellowshipped Jehovah's Witness. So they were taught that we were of the devil.
Mhm.
And she still believed that. So she couldn't believe that I would do something like that. But the next day, she started going with me to Mass. And at the consecration, I saw Jesus. And I thought if you were Catholic, you saw Jesus. And I was like, "Whoa, did you see that?" She's like, "What?" I said, "That man." She said, "What man?" I said, "Up there on the stage." She said, "That's the priest." I went, "No, next to the other guy." She said, I don't see another guy." I said, "You don't see it because you're not Catholic." Then I found out that not everybody was seeing the same thing. Mary Ann brought the priest to my house to bless it. And while he was there, she said, "Could you tell Monsignor what it is you see in the Eucharist?" And I said, "Jesus, don't you?" He was like, "Absolutely." Then when he left, she told me later that he said he's a former Satanist. He sees Jesus in the Eucharist. You've got to make him Catholic. He's got Catholic written all over him. So I started going to Monsignor Valley anywhere from 30 minutes to 3 hours, anywhere from 1 day a week to 7 days a week. And I officially came into the church in May of '08. In 2010, I felt I had learned all that I could from St. Raphael, and I needed to start my own ministry. I needed to come up with a cool name for it, something kind of catchy. And I had a real devotion to the Blessed Mother, but I also had been introduced to Blessed Bartolo Longo. It was super cool.
Mhm.
And the story was so close to mine. And then Padre Pio was super cool. Saint Benedict I had real love for. He was my confirmation saint. But the Blessed Mother, Blessed Bartolo Longo, Saint Benedict, Padre Pio ministry doesn't roll off the tongue. So, and then I was thinking, and there's always new saints being made. What do I do? And then I realized, wait, I could include all of them. We're all about inclusion in this country. So I made All Saints Ministry. That was in 2010. Because of that, on my curriculum vitae, I have between 21 and 25 items per page. All my interviews and all my talks are on those, all my conferences. And I just started page 17. So it keeps me pretty busy.
I guess it's wonderful that you're able to share this story. Um, People are just so inspired by it, and we have a lot of people asking a lot of questions, of
That
course.
we do.
um,
I think a
and
lot. I think a lot of the people are asking if you had seen any of the world elites, like Gates and Soros and all them. I see that a lot in the list. So
I've seen Gates. I've seen Soros at Bohemian Grove. I saw Barack Obama there in '94 before anybody knew who he was. I saw Clinton there in '92. I saw both Bushes. I saw Ronald Reagan there in '87. He seemed extremely uncomfortable to see me. I walked up to shake his hand because I voted for him. And he started to shake my hand, and then he looked at me and he pulled his hand back, and he started even leaning back to get away from me. Now, he didn't run away, but he didn't get any closer to me. And that was fine with me. And I can respect your decision. Not everybody wants to hang out with a Satanist.
no, I would think that could be that could be off-putting. So when you decided to begin your ministry, was it difficult for you to start telling your story, or um, I guess God gave you the grace to be able to just put it all out? I love the way you just tell it like it is, because I think one of the things that you had asked about describing the partial birth abortion, which I knew what happened in partial birth abortion. Maybe some of the viewers won't have known what that is. But Father Frank Pavone always says people won't um, we won't end abortion until we know what abortion is,
Right.
until we see what it is, how horrific it is.
My
Um,
book, my book has an endorsement from him in the back of it.
yes, I saw that when you did the interview with Matt Loggeman, um, and he read the back of the book was the endorsement from Father Frank Pavone, and I thought how perfect to have Father Pavone's endorsement, and have him writing in the back of your book, because this issue of abortion, and I know this is something that's very very dear to your heart because of your involvement in it, and understanding how destructive it is, to everyone involved, not only the women who have had an abortion, but all and everyone who's involved, and the horrific things that you've witnessed, experienced, and participated in. Um, but the thing that's so striking, um, I think, is that uh, particularly for people who have been involved in an abortion, this is one sin that people feel maybe is unforgivable. God, there are things that I've done that can't be forgiven, and your story is so to the point of anyone can be forgiven. God's grace
Right.
reaches everyone.
Right. And I had a woman telling me that she had an abortion and she knew that God couldn't forgive her. And I said, not to turn this into a pissing contest, but how many did you have? And she said, one. And I said, so God can't forgive your one, but he forgave my 146. What's wrong with that picture?
Mm-hmm.
I think her real issue was that she couldn't forgive herself.
Yeah, exactly. I remember a priest saying one time that he felt that the most tormented souls he had ever seen were those of women who had had abortions because they can't forgive themselves. So I think it's important for and many people have sins that they've committed that they feel they can't be forgiven for, and part of the block, the roadblock there is they can't forgive themselves. And really not forgiving ourselves is like, saying no to God. You're wrong.
I
um
I had never felt the urge to go to a Rachel's Vineyard. I knew what it was, just didn't feel that I needed it. And a few years ago, my friend Jennifer McCoy, she's mentioned in my book. She's the woman in my book that takes her daughter into Planned Parenthood's.
mhm.
She's a baby at that time, and passes her around the room, and then walks out, taking women with her. She ended up rescuing over 200 babies, but doing that for the summer. So I forgot what story I was going to tell you. Don't get old. This will happen to you too.
Trust me, I know all about that. I know all about that. Well,
I
you know,
do have another question, if you don't mind. A lot of people are asking, what is the name of your podcast and your book so they can look them up?
yes.
My book and my CD set are Abortion is a Satanic Sacrifice. The book is available and the CD set on my website, which is allsaintsministry.org, or you can buy the book also on Amazon.
Oh, you
My-
can do it on Amazon. Okay.
My podcast is All Saints Ministry Presents Zachary King. And it will be on all the different formats that podcasts go on. I think we have 5 different ones that we're going to be putting it on.
Okay. I'm writing this down.
Well,
Way, I mean, how often do you have a former Satanist in your midst?
never.
I don't know. That's a scary part. I don't know. But I do know that I've many times, and I think the point that you bring up about people who are entertainers or people who are singers, or you can almost see Satan in their in just their, you can almost feel it and see it in their presence. Many times there have been several people I've said I think they've sold their soul to the devil, and I love that point that you made is you can't sell what doesn't belong to you.
Right.
And yes, we have our free will and we can make a choice, but
Well, what people have done is they've given their will to the devil.
they've given their will to the devil. Exactly.
All you have to do is go to confession and give your will back to God.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
but there's a video, if you can look it up on YouTube, it's Bob Dylan on 60 Minutes saying that he sold his soul to the devil. There's also Katy Perry on another interview saying that her parents were evangelicals and she used to tour with them and she would be their singer, and that she wanted to be the next Amy Grant, but she failed, so she sold her soul to the devil. There's a documentary on Netflix called Gaga 5.2 where she talks about how she got famous, and it's in the excerpts or the outtakes, and it says that she wasn't anybody at that time, and she was just performing all these different places, and she performed at a strip club, and then when she was leaving at the end of the night, she walked out the back of the building, and this guy approached her, and he said he could make her famous. He could make her a rock god. All she had to do was sell her soul to the Illuminati through him, and he could make her famous. And she did that. And she said now she believes she needs an exorcism because she has full-on body pain all the time that she never had back then.
Mm.
And she thinks it's a demon.
Well, I think that the thing, and we're going to wrap up now, but one of the things that I think that's really has brought to our attention, I hope to everyone, is number one, how much we need to pray, pray and pray and pray, and be aware that this, you know, it sounds so fantastic. It's almost hard to believe, but it's really. But when you look around at the world around us, you know that it's true. You know that these things do happen. It does exist. It's the only thing that it makes any sense of how everything is upside down and backwards now. Um, just like your crucifix, when you turn your crucifix upside
Right.
down and broke it, everything's upside down and backwards. And I want to just thank you so much. I know that everyone here is so grateful to hear your story, and it's an inspiration to realize that not only does this happen, it exists, it goes on, but how much more we need to pray and to be aware and to pray those rosaries, uh, wear the miraculous medal, do all these devotions that uh, we sometimes maybe take for granted, but are so powerful. Look at what happened when she put that miraculous medal in your hand, and God was just really waiting for that. She was, sent there by God. So I'm hoping that maybe we can have you back, um,
Yes.
and
People are asking, they have questions.
go through some of these questions, and also just talk more about your ministry, your life now.
As far as questions go, if the people that wrote in are called or whatever they did, if they go to my website, my email address is there and my phone number is there.
Oh, super.
So send me an email and ask me there.
I think
Okay.
what we would need to do the next time is have a Q&A for people to actually text in their questions for you. That way people could ask all they want and you could reach the largest audience.
Yes, people are saying they'd love to hear more about your ministry in greater detail. Of course, we've had the website up on the screen the whole time we've been on, so that people have this. It's allsaintsministry.org. You can go there and get more information about Zachary's ministry, his email address, his telephone number, whatever you need to contact him. If you might want him maybe to speak, or if you just have questions, I'm sure he's more than happy, because this is your full-time work now. Is that right?
It is.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Jim, you want to go ahead and take us out with a prayer? And also a big thank you to your wife there in the background. Just want her to know that we appreciate her as well, and helping you get set up, and her contribution as well. So, Jim, you want to give us a prayer here? And
I'm not good at doing improv prayer off the top of my head, but I am going to do the unity prayer.
Okay, that sounds good.
That's a nice one.
Great one. Yeah.
Oh, my adorable Jesus, may our feet journey together. May our hands gather in unity. May our hearts be in unison, and may our souls be in harmony. May our thoughts be as one. May our ears listen to the silence together. May our glances profoundly penetrate each other, and may our lips pray together to gain mercy from the eternal Father. Amen. Most precious blood of Jesus Christ, save us and the whole world.
Amen.
Amen.
All right. Well, we thank you all for joining us. We thank you for watching us. I know that this was a very inspirational webcast. I know it was for me. I pray that it was for you. And I just can't thank you enough, Zachary, for taking this time and coming to spend this time with us and tell us your story. So until next time, Jim, thank you for joining me once again. And
not a problem. It was a pleasure.
All right. And we will see you next time on Mother and Refuge of the End Times.